Thank you very much, Jenny. That was a great talk. Now, our next talk is going to be from Anra Kennedy, who's the Consultant Director Digital from the Audience Agency, and she'll be talking about who is our digital storytelling really for and why, and looking at the long view. Thank you very much.
Hi, everybody. I'm going to do that backwards and forwards glasses thing here. So in my talk proposal, I describe myself as an old-timer because I've been lucky enough to spend well over 20 years immersed in the world of museums, your museums and their digital storytelling. And we've seen so much change in that time. Technology and audience expectations and the way that we all work have been constantly evolving. So in the talk, I'm going to use my organisation's digital storytelling with and for and about museums as the lens through which I'll think about the changes, but also the things that have stayed the same. So my hope is that fellow old-timers, or some of you in the room, will be encouraged to reflect on their past practice, and those earlier in their careers will get a bit of historical context to inform your thinking. On a sad note, I wanted to start by saying that as I talk today, I'm thinking of Mike Stapleton, Director of System Simulation, SSL, whose Index Plus database and web templates, and especially his wise advice, powered so much of the digital publishing I'll share, and that of many museums too. Mike died on Tuesday, so big love goes to his SSL family. Mike Selway is here with us today, especially to you, Mike, and to all his MCG friends. Yes, right. So this is a huge topic. Today my focus is online digital storytelling, mainly websites and social media, rather than in-venue digital interpretation. I'm going to take you back to 2001, when I joined what was then 24-Hour Museum, whiz through, really quickly, the next 23 years, reflecting on the journey that the sector's been on, before positing some thoughts and several questions about purpose and value in this work. Now, for organisations accustomed to really carefully engineering visitor flow and crafting storytelling experiences in physical spaces down to the minutest detail, the internet was a pretty wild proposition. Museums are usually born storytellers. Stories are at the heart of what they do. So it was a major shift to redesign storytelling techniques for spaces, online spaces, where everything's so unpredictable. Even if, against the odds, people do find our online content, who knows what they're doing, where they are, how they're feeling, and what their focus is as they read and watch and listen. So at the dawn of this century, makes it sound really long ago, our baby steps into digital storytelling look like this. So 24-Hour Museum began life in 1999 and launched rather controversially as the UK's National Virtual Museum in 2001. The director, Jane Finnis, editor, John Pratty, writer, Richard Moss, and myself joined that spring. It was based on a database of 2,500 museums, and the website was all about signposting and celebrating what museums were doing online and offline. There wasn't a huge choice for our website of the week slot you see on there at that point. Notice I've left the ugly, clunky toolbar in the screenshot for added nostalgia. So 2002 saw the launch of our children's site with museum news features and a handful of flash games from a forward-thinking group of, I think it was about 6 museums initially, including, I think, the V&A. So Mused has deep roots. But again, really sadly, this talk's not all going to be sad, but I have to mention very talented, lovely Victoria Baker designed Show Me and the first 24-Hour Museum, and we sadly lost Victoria far too soon this month as well. So it's been a sad month. The pace quickened. The mid-noughties saw an explosion of digital storytelling as more and more museums found their feet. And we were going location crazy in 2004, creating 10 city heritage guides, which featured, a bit strangely, real cities and real people, as opposed to unreal people. And that phrase has different connotations now, of course, in an age of AI. And also Storymaker, one of this first rash of many tools that we as a sector created to gather and published what we were calling user-generated content. Also in 2004, Show Me Mark II emerged with a new look, many more flash games, family-friendly listings, several collections-focused editorial features for kids every week. And it also featured on the About Us pages all of our younger selves, because we obviously felt it was fine to put photos of children on the internet then. That was me. In 2005, we were celebrating... Oh no, I've got it the wrong way around, never mind. We were celebrating, I'm going to move to that one. So these shots, start with these ones. We were churning out loads and loads of partner websites using those City Heritage Guide templates. This is Untold London. It was run by Birmingham's own Sarah Wajid with the Museum of London, as was, and focused on telling and collecting the stories. So telling and collecting, notice, the stories of London's diverse communities. This is the commemoration of 400 years of the Gunpowder Plot with the Parliamentary Archives and several partner collections in 2005. This was one of the first wave of lots of collaborative storytelling projects centred around digitised collection records and a shared hook or moment. So the technology bar was lowering now. There was still some public funding around for digital work, and we were all getting much more confident. Youthfully exuberant is my take, anyway. So in 2007, another collaboration with Parliamentary Archives, several other collections, we learnt a huge amount about telling stories with sensitive, difficult subject matter and the implications of doing that online, this time around the abolition of the slave trade. 24-Hour Museum was laid to rest, Culture 24 took its place. Dynamically generated, very clever SSL system, churned out subsection upon subsection, and taxonomies and tagging took over my life, and spreadsheets for a while. Then, on the lighter side, as we entered the 2010s, our beautiful Caboodle was born, giving children a safe space to show off their collections, alongside a sprinkling of yours. And Caboodle loved a tag cloud as well. And children and museums shared all sorts of caboodles, from rubbers to rabbits, before Caboodle joined the ranks of digital projects that died when the project funding ended. So, more collective, collaborative, anniversary-themed storytelling around digital collections, 2015, the Battle of Waterloo, which then morphed into the Age of Revolution. And we had loads of fun with gallery and museum partners from across Europe with Van Gogh Yourself, a mobile-first collaboration, this time built by friends at Service Impression. And this was a portrait recreation platform aimed at creating emotional connections with art and, again, supporting digital storytelling by audiences. And it was ahead of its time in 2015. Because no, ours is not the one that went viral in lockdown. So by the mid and late 2010s, I think digital storytelling felt a little more workaday, more professionalised, with higher stakes and more responsibility to pay its way. Show Me, after a few years in between on ice, was rejuvenated, a little more slick. This Mark III pulled collection records in from Culture Grid. Do you remember that? And rewrote descriptions to be child-friendly. Many games from smaller museums were dead or dying at this point, killed off when Flash died. Those left tended to be from bigger players like Tate, Science Museum, and Wellcome Collection. Our Culture 24 website morphed into Museum Crush, still SSL data-powered, but this time with a WordPress front end. Edited by Richard. Again, it was more elegant, paired back with collections imagery playing a central role. So Museum Crush was a collaborative storytelling platform and played a key role in our digital skills building role, supporting a diverse range of museums, archives and heritage sites to build confidence in telling and promoting stories online. Which brings us to today and a new perspective. I'm no longer in the hurly-burly of feeding a hungry story machine myself, but focusing on sector support so in reflective mode. Now, back in 2021, I heard Ross Parry, we can't have an MCG conference without mentioning him, Professor of Museum Technology, Director of the Institute for Digital Culture, describe different aspects of digital maturity. So I've borrowed his theory and his slides, sorry Ross if you're watching, as they chimed so much with that digital storytelling arc that I've just shared. So focusing on critical maturity, alongside the operational and institutional, Ross drew the path from sincere and efficient ordering of databases through the playful, ironic website stage to hopeful network building. And he asked how to order and who is right. He termed these the modernist catalogue era, the postmodernist collage era, and the meta-modernist era of community. And as a sector, I really think our digital storytelling is the outward manifestation of those stages. So thank you, Professor Parry. So what's next as we head into 2025? Is it chaos? Will AI turn our digital storytelling on its head? As a sector, we've come such a long way and learnt an enormous amount, but we're all so busy and budgets are so tight, it's easy for that learning to get lost. Reflective practice takes time, but I think we need to spend more time asking the difficult questions, like, who are we doing all of this for? I was so pleased to see this as the theme. Specifically, not just generally, which communities of interest will care about it and why. And if they find our story online, be that a single Instagram post or a beautiful content-rich exhibition, will it meet their needs and serve our organisational purpose? And how will we know? It's really hard to meaningfully understand whether or not our digital storytelling is doing what we think it could and should be doing. We can track plenty of stats, they are useful, but nothing beats talking to target audiences and watching them interact with our content, which again takes time. And we tried to do this, but we didn't do it enough or consistently enough. In my experience, most people doing digital storytelling in museums still don't truly know if and how it's landing with target audiences. So underpinning that measure of success is the question of value. Again, I'm not convinced we're all clear, really, on where the value in our digital storytelling lies and where that value, how and when it manifests. So we can fall in the trap of focusing on value we might gain from our audiences and not to our audiences. And alongside that, of not valuing the positive impact digital storytelling can have for our teams. Very quick note here. TikTok, Grandad, Black Country Living Museum. I had a fangirl moment with him. He's had huge success. He shared really heartfelt tales with me of the emotional connections people have made, and powerfully, a young man starting his first ever job at the museum because he discovered them on TikTok, aged 14. So digital storytelling does have the potential to widen access and give voice to diverse communities when we work in truly inclusive ways, but it comes with huge responsibility, takes a lot of skill and understanding, takes significant time and can often be under-resourced and undervalued. Again, I'm not convinced museums always consider or understand the true cost and the true value of digital storytelling work with communities. And the question of where it sits, where digital storytelling is situated in museums fascinates me. Where's the line between digital marketing and digital storytelling? Do education and outreach services see themselves as digital storytellers? In larger organisations, is it rooted in IT, ops, or somewhere else? In smaller ones, are volunteers doing it fully supported? Do they understand its strategic purpose? Do leaders and boards have enough digital literacy to take the right decisions it requires? Lack of clarity around these questions can cause uncertainty and stress in our teams and lessen the impact and quality and value of our content. So I'm very, very nearly out of time. I'm going to stop in a sec. But finally, what are we doing with all of these digital stories? We've churned out a vast amount of them already. We're showing no signs of slowing down. Environmental impact is one issue, but I'd also ask if we're making the most of what we've already produced. Are we reusing, repurposing, revitalising past content? Are we intentionally making decisions about content life cycles? I'm definitely not saying we should keep it all, but we could be enriching collections, getting more value for money, and lessening duplication with more intentional reuse and cross-fertilisation and archiving. And don't even get me started on digital storytelling going on outside museums that we're not capturing. It's piling up. So I've loved being along for the ride so far. I relish the new challenge ahead of us as we navigate AI and digital storytelling. But I hope as we do so that we take more time to reflect on our practice, learn from each other and from our collective portfolio of past work, and hold on to those central tenets of purpose and value. And I'll stop there.